Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates.
The Earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the Earth now. The solar wind is also
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone here on this program of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who has joined us here tonight and thank you for being here. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this broadcast with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. Would everyone please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, coming to us from the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The Barbershop Quartet Convention hosts gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and the United States Army Barbershop Quartet gave us the National Anthem, and we really appreciate that. We want to pay tribute to all of our military all around the world, wherever you might be at this time, and also our allied military forces, wherever they might be. God bless you. May God protect you and keep you safe and bring you home in safety after your tours of duty end. We appreciate you all so very much, and thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. God bless you all. Folks, we have quite a bit to talk about tonight. I am going to go bobbling around, bibbity boppity boopity around, and talk to you about quite a few different things here before we get into the meat of the program. The first thing I want to talk to you about, and I forgot about it until about 10 minutes ago, is a 9-year-old boy in Alabama. This 9-year-old boy, his image has been blotted out here, and we do not have his name as he is a minor. This young man, folks, committed armed robbery. 9 years old and committed armed robbery. Then he took a car. Okay? He took a car, stealing the car at gunpoint. Cramlots, thank you for that $20 super chat. We really appreciate it. God bless you for that. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our mods and everyone who's joined us on this program. Anyway, folks, this 9-year-old boy, actually he was first described as an 8-year-old boy, but he was 9 years old. Okay? Stealing a car at gunpoint, getting into a police chase with the cops. An 8-year-old boy has now been arrested in Alabama for allegedly stealing a car at gunpoint, armed robbery, then leading authorities on a chase. The boy that was arrested for stealing a car has been put in a juvenile detention facility. No injuries were reported at the time. The gun was recovered at the scene. The young boy has not been named publicly because allegedly he hijacked a car and an adult at gunpoint at 11 a.m. on West Fairview Avenue in Montgomery. Police Major Saba Coleman said that the child refused to pull over for police on East-South Boulevard and Norman Bridge Road, prompting a chase that ended when the boy crashed a stolen car into another vehicle at West Fairview Avenue and South Court Street. The 8-year-old young man was arrested and is being held at the Montgomery County Youth Detention Facility on charges of first-degree robbery, attempting to elude police, and certain persons forbidding to possess a firearm. A minor illegally in possession of a firearm. Whenever I realized it was a little boy, I knew I had to follow them and make sure no one got hit, and that he got caught because we don't want him driving all over Montgomery, Alabama, causing more accidents or hurting himself or hurting other people. That was a person that was a police officer. He goes by the name of Snake. Okay? The boy also picked up 2 adults on Norman Bridge Road. I think parents just really need to know where their kids are and what their kids are doing, and just to talk to them about these kinds of things. That's what we should be doing. That is exactly what we should be doing, is discussing these things with our children. too often, and I'm almost as guilty as anyone, because the last time I spoke to my children was about 21 years ago, because of my event with my first wife and our divorce and her bad-mouthing me to the children. Regardless, I tried talking to them, and after a certain point in time, all they wanted to do is badmouth me because of what my ex-wife had told them. It's sad that children will not listen. They just don't want to listen. But this young man obviously didn't listen. He got hold of someone's firearm. He stole a car at gunpoint. He committed robbery and mayhem. He eluded police, all of which are felonies. It's sad. It's beyond anything that I would have ever thought about. Now, before we get into anything else, I wanted to also talk about this. I wanted you to hear this. The Dutch government is dissolving because of migrants. The Dutch government has had enough, and they are collapsing the government because of migrants. I want you to hear this statement from the Dutch government.
Ja, beste dames en heren, en ook mensen thuis die dit volgen. Het is geen geheim dat de coalitiepartners heel verschillend denken over het migratiebeleid. En vandaag moeten we helaas de conclusie trekken dat die verschillen onoverbrugbaar zijn. Daarom zal ik direct hierna schriftelijk het ontslag van het voltallige kabinet aanbieden aan de koning.
Migration is an important topic.
Thema, dit belangrijke onderwerp, niet tot overeenstemming kunnen komen, hebben we ons in de ministerraad moeten beraden over de ontstane situatie en gezamenlijk geoordeeld dat het politieke draagvlak onder de coalitie is weggevallen. Dat is zeer betreurenswaardig. Maar het is tegelijkertijd een politieke realiteit waar we niet omheen kunnen.
Okay, the Prime Minister is not going to run again. Journalists swarmed his car.
Zin?
Dat zeg ik nooit. Dat ik nog van die... Wat zegt u? Ik moet even door. Wat wordt het voor één of zijn nog deze? Meneer Rutte, dat spreekt de koning weer nooit iets. Maar ik moet even de collega's hier weghalen, want anders kan je door.
But the collapse of the Dutch government could mark a major turning point against immigration in Europe.
Van de 4 partijen demissionair. De eerste taak is uiteraard het uitschrijven van nieuwe verkiezingen en verder alles te doen wat nodig is in het landsbelang. Dit besluit valt ons allemaal zwaar. En ik voeg daaraan toe, ook mij persoonlijk.
The Netherlands is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. And the soaring housing costs are beyond anything, and crowded schools are beyond anything they've ever seen. And rising crime due to organized foreign gangs are fueling the debate around immigration.
veroorzaakt voor asielzoekers om een plek te vinden op de woningmarkt, een plek in het onderwijs om de taal te leren en een plek in deze samenleving te krijgen. Dus het is een probleem dat we allemaal zien, waarvan we allemaal hebben gezegd, daar moeten we oplossingen voor vinden.
Will this happen more to Western governments? Oh yes. It absolutely will. It absolutely will. No one wanted to see this happening. Migrants in the United States are also posing a security problem. Migrants all over the world are posing a security problem. We showed you riots happening in Paris and all over France because of the migrants that are out of control. Migrants causing the riots, migrants causing the fires, burning down buildings, tipping over cars and causing more problems, and then burning the cars, police cars, and fire trucks. Okay? It's happening all over the world. Germany's experienced it. The United States has experienced it. Scandinavia has experienced it. I believe it was last year when I saw pictures and video coming out of Stockholm about a town in southeastern Sweden called Malmö. And the migrants were burning apartment complexes, tipping over police cars and burning them, attacking police. This is what happens when we have unmitigated migration happening. We can't control it because the governments have allowed it. And the United States is the one that started it all under this president we've had. Now, Mr. Biden is also up to his ears in trouble. As you know, he went on the air the other day. I think it was Sunday. I can pull up the video for you if you want. But he went on the air and said that the UKR was out of ammunition. Out of 15.5 ammunition, which is high energy ammunition typically seen at the battlefronts. He said UKR was out of it and also the United States was low on it. What a kind of a slip of a tongue can this be for a United States president to admit that we have no ammunition? We are low on ammunition. Letting all of our enemies around the world know that we don't have ammunition. And yet we have sent all this ammunition all the way over to UKR. Incredible. I don't support this war. I don't. At first, I had some inkling that something good might come of it, but it hasn't. And it's wrong. Now, I'm not going to speak any more about that, but letting our enemies know that our country has nothing to defend itself, that is outlandish. Mr. Biden should be taken out of office immediately. He and his entire administration need to be relieved of their posts immediately. I have not heard of such crap ever before in my life. Never. Don Patoka says, hey Ron, we still have rocks. You're right. You're right. And we may need them, you and I. Because our military allegedly doesn't have what it takes to take care of what is going to happen to us. And if you think war is not going to come to our shores, you just wait a few minutes. I've seen more and more things blow up in our faces. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe it. Now, before we get started on anything else, and yes, I'm going to talk about volcanoes in just a few minutes. I'm going to talk about earthquakes in just a very few minutes. But most of you know me, and you know that I love trains. My friend in Denver, Carolyn, that's here on this chat tonight, watching our program with all of you, she knows of my love of trains. Well, folks, there's a train called Big Boy, the Big Boy. It is a huge steam locomotive, and I have forgotten most of the important things about that locomotive, but it's the biggest locomotive that's ever been built, carrying passengers and freight around the United States. That locomotive is usually in a huge museum building in Denver. It's out making its runs like it usually does at this time of year. It went all the way to Nebraska. It went all the way into Missouri. Let me play this video for you.
One thing on steam engine, they really.
There it is, the definitive whistle of the Big Boy. These kids and their families are in a park right next to their train tracks.
Yeah, the steam? Yeah, it is.
You can see the steam from the locomotive in the background of this picture
as a
behind the
tribute,
trees.
Watson Station has their own little steam train. Oh, we're starting to see the lights. It did have to slow down quite a bit coming across that bridge down the ways, because again, it is so heavy.
Don says it gives him the chills to hear the steam whistle. Oh yes, this is the world's biggest locomotive. It was built for the Union Pacific Railroad. This locomotive, the Big Boy, is going to pull into this. It's going to pull up here by the park and stop for a few minutes. You can hear the braking.
Tires of the boiler burning.
That entire front of the train is a boiler. It requires a fireman to stoke wood into the fire.
The engine
to boil
itself
the
is
water.
massive on this thing.
It takes several people to operate this locomotive. There's an engineer, an assistant engineer, and a
Again, we're in
fireman.
Missouri Valley right now, as we are in front of the city park of the Watson Station. The steam train has pulled up and stopped right here. Looks like it's moving forward.
Look at that
Now-
locomotive.
Be able to
The tinner behind it has coal and wood. You can see the three people on the locomotive. This locomotive is pulling another engine
has its dignitary cars and everything.
and a 1976.
And of course the chase vehicle with it, making sure everything goes smooth.
It's carrying a passenger car And
Just reminiscent of
this
days
car
gone
right
by.
behind there, two other cars, it's called the RPO, the Railroad Post Office. Railroad Post Office cars. And a caboose. There is another electric locomotive powering and pushing and help push this train through behind the big boy. There's a last
There we go.
car, the passenger car.
From one steam engine to another steam engine.
This steam engine they have in this park is a small rider train that they have in the park for an adult engineer that is dressed up as the engineer there and give kids a ride around that park. But I wanted to show you the big boy. I love the big boy. When I was in Denver, I took a tour of that museum there and saw the big boy for myself. It's a beautiful locomotive. And that was a really cool opportunity for all of you to see the big boy pull into Missouri over there and into that park where it will sit and let people meet the engineers, the firemen, and other people on the passenger side of the car at the tail end of it. And probably another railroad executive down there in the caboose as well. It was a great thing. I loved it when I saw it this morning. Just a great thing. I appreciate you all just bearing with me sharing that with you. I love it. I love trains. You all know that. It was really something else. But I want to show you that. Now, besides that, another volcano has started showing signs of eruption. It's down in the lower western part of the Alaska Peninsula. Okay? It's down in the Fox Islands just south of the Alaska Peninsula. And it's a big deal, guys. Okay? This volcano is symmetrically perfect. It's a stratovolcano down there, and it has its own island. It literally sits on its own island there. The volcanic status is restless. Now, all of the instruments that have been put down on that island to monitor the Shishaldin volcano are non-operational. The only way that NASA and the only way that the United States GS at the Alaska Volcanic Observatory have of finding out what's going on with this volcano is through satellites in space, taking pictures and video from space showing us what's going on at Shishaldin volcano. It also has sensors that pick up movement at the volcano. Yes, there have been small earthquakes happening here at Shishaldin volcano. The alert level has been raised to yellow. It went from normal to yellow. The Alaska Volcanic Observatory through satellites detected high temperatures at the summit crater as well. This also confirms a heat radiation image from the Mirova Middle Infrared Observation Satellite of Shishaldin volcanoes and its activity. Now, the satellite measured a high thermal anomaly. 100 millibars from the satellite in the crater area. High thermal anomaly. I never knew it was a millibar reading, but that's what they're telling us. From a seismic point of view, intermittent volcanic tremors and low-frequency earthquakes have become more frequent over the past week. Shishaldin volcano has erupted in the past year or 2 years, but the earthquakes have become more frequent and closer together. The change that the Volcanic Observatory has found is a variation from the background levels at the volcano, but this doesn't hint of an imminent eruption, at least so far. The Alaska Volcano Observatory continues that Shishalden Volcano is monitored by local seismic and infrared sensors, web cameras, and telemetric geodetic network. But the local monitoring network is partially impaired, therefore the observatory is also using nearby geophysical network satellite data and regional infrasound and lightning data to detect activity. The Alaska Volcanic Observatory is going to closely monitor Shishalden Volcano going forward. We may see an eruption at this volcano. I'm saying we may see it. We've seen small eruptions at Shishalden in the past, as well as some lava coming out of the volcano. We don't know for sure what is going to happen at this point in time. But you can see, it's hard to understand how powerful these volcanoes are. But you can see by this picture, the summit is completely symmetrical with the volcano itself. It's got a round summit. And when it erupts, before it erupts, this volcano has always emitted some kind of steam and light ash. This is kind of what we expect to happen again at Shishalden Volcano. Again, it's down just south of the southernmost point of the Alaska Peninsula. Okay? It's in an area that is called the Fox Islands. Okay? But I want to show you this because this has come to me in an email from the Alaska Volcanic Observatory. Okay? I want to show you that. Something else that came to my knowledge, and yes, I'm going to talk about earthquakes in just a few minutes. Just a short while ago, within the last couple of days, someone has been asking me questions about what is going on with earthquakes. Okay? What is going on with earthquakes? What is going on with volcanoes? The question was picked up that the person that posted this had never seen a map with heat signatures and can't find any information about it. What does this mean? Can you explain this to us? Well, folks, absolutely I can. And that's exactly what I plan on doing right now. Okay? Number one, I want to show you this. This is a NASA map. Okay? A lot of times people don't associate seismic events and volcanoes with NASA. NASA has a thermal imaging satellite that they use to give us this data. As you can see, they monitor fires all around the world, specifically in Canada and the United States, but they monitor fires literally around the world. And you can see the fires over here in British Columbia. You can see some small fires going through central Canada and more fires out towards eastern Canada and over into Nova Scotia as well. Okay? But you can see these red dots. You can see red dots all over the place. It's not just fires that they monitor. Sometimes some of these red dots could indicate a fire. Okay? They could indicate a fire. Sometimes we have found that the United States military took out tunnels underneath the ground here in the United States and literally all over the world, and in Spain as well. A couple of years ago I showed you that. what is going on. But you can see these red dots. They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. Okay? Folks, sometimes, yes, they do indicate fires. But more than anything, they do indicate heat signatures on the ground from magma coming up close to the top of the crust of the earth, where you and I walk on. Okay? These are heat signatures. Okay? I wanted to make sure that you saw this. I think this is vitally important for everybody to know. One of the heat signatures that I found earlier today. Okay? One is over here, just southwest of Seattle. Over here, near the Puget Sound. Yes, I'm going to zoom in on it. I want you to know what's going on. Look where this is at. Heat signatures, guys. Heat signatures. Yes, we have another volcano besides Rainier, besides Glacier Peak. Okay? We have another volcano over here in this area. And they're monitoring this volcano as well. Okay? It's Olympic Mountain. Chica Peak is a volcano. Okay? But heat signatures come around all the time. This other one over here, look where it's at. Look where it's at. It's around buildings, guys. It's around buildings and right next to a highway. If that doesn't take the cake, nothing will. Okay? Then I want to come over here. I want to show you this. This morning, this big, huge red spot was down on the far bottom right of this quarry. Now, right now, this is up at the top of the quarry. This is not near a volcano. There are magma channels running underneath the earth, underneath the crust where we walk. I shouldn't say underneath the earth. They're running through the crust that we're walking on. And when they get close to the surface, this is what you're going to see. Okay? May Edwards says, I have real bad eyesight. I'm just hoping, May, that you can see this red blotch here. Like I said, this was at the bottom right side of this quarry earlier this morning. Now it's up at the top. Heat travels, doesn't it? Magma moves. I just wanted you to see it. It's not a volcano. It has nothing to do with Mount Rainier right here, other than up where it's at right here, it may be supplying magma over here to Glacier Peak. There's other hot spots around these areas as well, and you can see it here. There's hot spots up here just south of White Rock here, right here on the edge of the Puget Sound. Look at this. Right underneath this area here. This is some kind of business here. I don't know what it is. I have not checked it out. But it's a great big heat signature here, right next to Puget Sound. And there are other places as well. Now, why am I just showing you this in Washington? Because we know for a fact that these volcanoes are, in a preemptive way, getting ready for an eruption. Look at this, guys. Another very large heat signature here. It's just north of the airport here. Another heat signature over here as well. Isn't that interesting? Right next to the river. Literally right next to the river. Yes, folks, there are earthquake faults in this area. Many times when we have a river, underneath it there is an earthquake fault. And it's not uncommon to find heat signatures near rivers. It's not uncommon at all. But since several of you have wondered about this, Kremlott says an oil refinery. Yeah, that could have been an oil refinery. You're absolutely right. Okay? But there are heat signatures everywhere. Let's go up here. Okay? This is in Canada. This is in Canada. Now, these could be underground tunnels that are being taken out. We saw this happening a year and 2 years ago. That's what could be happening. We've seen these kind of heat signatures during our investigation of tunnels underneath the earth that the military was taking out. We saw that happening. Okay? But like I said, now you know what we're talking about when we see heat signatures. Here's some more here. Wells Grave Provincial Park. Look at that. That's a huge heat signature here. Again, you can find this yourself. All you have to do is search for firms. F-I-R-M-S. Firms US Canada. And like I said, you see fires here. Yes, they monitor the fires. They monitor the smoke as well. But I definitely wanted to show you this. I think it's very important to what we've been talking about recently. Okay? Let's go down here to Denver, near where Carolyn lives. Carolyn lives north of Denver over here. No, Carolyn, I'm not going to tell anybody the town you live in north of Denver. But look here, guys. Look at these heat signatures here. Isn't it interesting where we find heat signatures? I am pretty familiar with this whole area because I used to live up here. I drove around up here. Okay? This is not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. Commerce City. Okay? Recently we reported a train derailment in Commerce City. There's an oil refinery here in Commerce City where the train derailed right next to. This is Commerce City, guys. Okay? There's hot spots everywhere. And sometimes we just don't know what these hot spots are about. We can take a good guess about what they're about. South of Denver area is a town called Castle Rock. I have friends that live in Castle Rock. Look where we have a hot spot here. This is out here in the desert area, the farming community out here east of Parker, Colorado. Okay? Hot spots here. They're literally all over the United States and Canada here. There's hot spots everywhere. Then we come down here to Texas. Look at the hot spots in Texas. Most of these are because of oil and gas drilling. Oil and gas drilling. We reported earthquakes near Midland, Texas. Midland, Texas has a lot of oil and gas drilling operations down in this area. Okay? We've also talked about southwestern Texas as well. Okay? We've shown you all the oil and gas pumping facilities all over this area. Look what we have here. Okay? We can't zoom in any farther than this, but we can already see the oil and gas platforms all over this area where we have these huge hot spots. Okay? They're all over, guys. Literally all over. Southwestern Texas. We've reported on earthquakes here in southwestern Texas that have to do with oil and gas again here. Look again how far we've been able to come in here and zoom in here. You can see the oil and gas drilling platforms here as well. You can see the retention ponds. You can see the retention ponds here as well, where they have water that's not able to be anything more than just reclaimed sewage, and they pump it down into the wells to obtain oil and gas. So you can see what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just oil and gas. Other times there's fire. Other times there's magma in them there hills. Okay? I've seen it. I've seen it. Let's go over here to Southern California that we talked about last night. Okay? Look at these hot spots here. They're not all oil and gas here. Okay? Look at this. This is Camp Pendleton. These hot spots you see here are in the hills around Camp Pendleton, Marine Corps Air Station north of San Diego. That's what that is. Over here, this also looks like it's northeast on Camp Pendleton still. Camp Pendleton is a huge Marine Corps base. And this appears that that's what these hot spots are about here. Now, something else that you may not know about Camp Pendleton. Okay? Over on the northeast side of Camp Pendleton, they used to have, and I think they probably still do, they had munitions from Vietnam here. Large cache of munitions from Vietnam that they were trying to what shall I say, deactivate. Most of these were chemical munitions here, and that's what this area looks like. Okay? I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what it looks like. I recognize the area there. Okay? Over here near San Clemente, we have another hot spot here. This is in the town of San Clemente. What do you think might be happening there? Magma beneath the surface. It's not a volcano, but it's another hot spot here in San Clemente. They're literally all over Los Angeles area. Okay? One right down here at the beach. This is Capistrano Beach. Okay? Right down there at the beach. I don't know. I have not ever seen that before. Okay? San Juan Capistrano right there. Right next to the freeway, there is another hot spot here. And no, I used to live here. I used to go up and down Highway 5 here, but I've never, ever seen an oil and gas refinery in this area before. Okay? San Juan Capistrano. I don't know what this is out here. I have no clue. That might be El Toro Marine Corps Station there. I don't know. But over here, okay, I can kind of take a good educated guess at what this is. Yes, this is oil and gas, guys. This is all oil and gas here. Okay? This is the oil and gas pumping operation in Los Angeles. Okay? We talked about this last night when we were talking about the earthquakes in this area. Okay? I showed you the tremors that were on the seismogram from Baldwin Hills. Baldwin Hills, guys. But all over Los Angeles here. Okay? I've never seen hot spots over here either. This is B Canyon Access Road. Okay, this is over on the eastern side of Los Angeles. I don't know what that is. Okay? But we can see hot spots literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. Okay? I want to show you this. There's another hot spot over here in the mountains. Okay? This is near, just off to the right of Interstate 15 here. This is just east of Corona. Okay? Great big hot spot there. Over here, I don't know what this is. This also appears to be underground tunnels in these mountains. It could possibly be that. I don't know. If these are indeed hot spots and these are tunnels, they are taking out these tunnels. They're deep within the ground. Okay? That's north of Lake Elsinore. I don't know. Okay? I've never seen that happen there. But they're literally all over, guys. They're all over. I hope I've answered questions about some of these hot spots. Okay? Yes, they can be due to magma. We've seen hot spots at volcanoes, although tonight when I look closely, well, tonight and all day today when I've looked closely at Mount Rainier, there were no hot spots at Mount Rainier, which bothers me because we know that there's magma there. We know because we've had these earthquakes hitting that volcano. We know that magma's entering that volcano and that it's good and warm. There should be hot spots there. Okay? Now, we also talked last night about earthquakes over here near the Salton Sea, earthquakes over here in the Imperial Valley. And as you can see, there are some hot spots here. Let's go up here to the southeast corner over here. There's a hot spot right here. Okay? It's right just east of the highway here. It runs up and down the east side of the Salton Sea. No, I don't know what this is. This could be magma out here. Why would I say that? Because, folks, the volcano is right here. The Salton Butte volcano is right here. Okay? Yes, there could be magma over here. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay? I'm also surprised not to see hot spots here. I'm showing you two different platforms here with turbines here, where man has drilled into the surface and into the upper magma chambers of the Salton Butte volcano to obtain steam to power turbines here in the Imperial Valley to obtain electricity from the turbines. So I'm kind of surprised we don't see any hot spots at these turbine facilities. Turbine facilities right here near Calipatria, Nyland here, further south down here near Westmoreland. Okay? They're literally everywhere around here. Okay? But there's some hot spots just on the southern side of the Imperial Valley here. Let's zoom into this. Okay? What could this be? This is Worthington Road. I've actually driven on Worthington Road here. It's just north of Worthington Road. Okay? It could be magma down here. It could very well be magma here. Okay? Down here is Holtville that I showed you last night. That's where the Holtville Salton Sea Desert Research Station is, in Holtville, California. Okay? But why do we see hot spots here? Down here at the border. This is down here in Mexicali. Okay? Why is there a hot spot down here at the border? I don't know. I'm going to try to find out. There's hot spots out here as well, in Mexico. Okay? I don't know why. Look at this. And it's interesting again, because over here at the volcano, this is Cerro Prado volcano. No hot spots at all. To the west here, we have another geothermal facility here where man has drilled into the Cerro Prado volcano to obtain steam to power turbines here. We have more turbines over here as well. All over this area. Why are there no hot spots here? Okay? Inquiring minds want to know. You can see them up here in northern Mexico. You can see them over here. Why? We know for a fact, guys, we know for a fact that there's magma down here as well. Magma all over the place. It could also be tunnels here. This could be also be tunneling system. We saw this same kind of configuration when the armies, the militaries, were destroying tunnels beneath the ground out here. It could very well be that. It could be magma down beneath the surface though. Right here is a good representation of that. See this round area here? This is where magma came up and pushed the ground up. Magma beneath the ground did not come up out of the ground here, but it pushed the ground up in round areas such as this. They're all over Baja California. Some as large as that, some as smaller than that. But they're all over Baja California, north and south. North and south. Here's another hot spot just outside of Tijuana. Yeah, this could be tunneling. That could be tunneling. This also could be tunneling. I don't know. It's right next to the main road coming out of Tijuana to cross the border here. I've seen that happen before as well. But no, I have no idea why we see these hot spots here. Down here south of Tijuana. Look at that. I don't believe we have any oil and gas drilling here. But this could be magma beneath the surface. Richard Smith says Africa's even hotter. You're right. Today we had 95-degree temperatures here in Morganton, North Carolina, where I live. I know for a fact over in Utah, where Dawn is, I have stepchildren there. It's 95 degrees over in West Jordan, Utah. It's hot. It's hot. We also see a hot spot down here south of Chula Vista. This is near Otay Valley Regional Park. Okay, look at the hot spot here. It's right next to that great big huge quarry that we keep showing you here. Where is this hot spot? This is right below a huge amphitheater. It used to be called Coors Amphitheater there in Chula Vista. They call it Coors Amphitheater San Diego, but it's over in Chula Vista because this hot spot is in the exact place where that Coors Amphitheater is, I believe. Now I can't zoom in any closer than this. There seems like there's another area just southeast of that hot spot where that amphitheater could be. So maybe I'm wrong. But I have no idea why we have a hot spot there. Yes, it says Energy Way here in San Diego. I don't know. Don Patokas echoing my thought about hot temperatures in Salt Lake. He says, as we speak, Ron, yes, absolutely. Michael McKinney says, do all these hot spots mean that lava will come to the surface at some point? Possibly. Possibly. It may be close to the surface, but it may be going through magma channels. The magma is going through magma channels beneath the surface. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a dike and it's going to come through the surface and form a volcano. That is a possibility. We've seen that happen before, but it's unlikely. In the areas I've shown you here in southern San Diego County there in Chula Vista, for example, where we just were, we know there's magma going from the ocean over to the Salton Butte volcano. That could possibly be some of that. I just don't know. I did not live down here in Chula Vista, but I had friends that did, and I was down here all the time. Plus, I was running... I was playing cat and mouse with Hispanic people, or people that unlawfully crossed the border, and we would chase them off the highways. There were signs above the highway stating, "Look out for migrants crossing," because they would jump on over the highway and run across a 6-lane freeway. 6 lanes in each direction. Okay? Yes, we played cat and mouse with migrants. And back in the day, it was mostly Hispanic. Okay? Back in the day, they were also doing nothing but trying to find work in the United States. Now it's a completely different situation, as we've talked about before. It's sad. It's also sad. I never in my life thought that we would be having this situation with an uncontrolled border before. There was a discussion with one of our congressional subcommittees that was looking into the FBI and the things that the FBI was doing. The FBI also has been monitoring migrants coming across the border. We know that. But the subcommittee was dealing with Director Wray of the FBI. And Director Wray many times denied knowledge of anything. And when the FBI denies knowledge of anything, we know they're lying. Lying through the proverbial teeth. They have a lot more knowledge than they're even telling us. We know that. And we know they can't divulge a lot of information that they have. But when a congressional subcommittee congressperson asks you a question and they say, "Sorry, I'm not going to answer that," it could be part of an investigation that they're working on. But we know for a fact that they're protecting the President of the United States. Because a lot of the questions Director Wray took today were in regard to wrongdoing by President Biden and Hunter Biden in their dealings with the United States and China. Who would have thunk? I never thought that would ever happen. You can find more about that too. You can do your own search on the internet about that. I don't want to even get involved in that. I want to talk about earthquakes today. Earthquakes in the New Madrid area. So let's take a look at New Madrid earthquakes, okay? This is something that I have been doing for quite some time. Okay? Let's go over to Arkansas first. Okay? This is the Ozark Folk Center. The Ozark Folk Center here. Let me reduce it just a little bit so you can truly see what's going on here. It was quiet at the beginning of the day here. The top line here is midnight, which is this morning and last night both. But after midnight, it becomes this morning. There was almost nothing going on. Then we had some microquakes that kicked up and some tiny tremors, 0.1 tremors here. Then, by 7 o'clock, these tremors began to be 1.2, 1.3 tremors. Okay? Then it calmed down again throughout the morning. And then after 10:30, things started happening. This blue line here on the left-hand side would be 10:30. Over here where this earthquake hit would be 10:43 a.m. this morning. Folks, that's a 3.5 magnitude earthquake near the Ozark Folk Center in Arkansas. 10:43 a.m. this morning. Then after that was done, okay, the earthquake only lasted a few seconds. Then it calmed down very rapidly. And after that, it went down to only tiny tremors again. Okay? It's called a body wave. After an earthquake like that, it's called a body wave. And it kept going over on the 10:45 side on this green line on the left. And it kept going for quite a while. So that was quite an earthquake. The body wave kept going for quite a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes long. Then we got a larger tremor, didn't we? Then an even larger earthquake, this time a 3.2. That was quite a shock there. It went down to a body wave and went back up to tremors again. These tremors continued for nearly 2 minutes. Then another body wave. The body wave continued all the way over to the right, okay, until it came to 11 a.m. That body wave continued, as you can see here, after 11 a.m. 11:01, 11:02, 11:03, 11:04, 11:05, and 11:06. Then we had another earthquake at 11:12, actually 11:11 this morning on this black line. This was at least a 3.4 earthquake. And then a secondary wave and an even tinier body wave after that. Very tiny tremors here at the Ozark Folk Center. That was quite a deal. 3 earthquakes in the latter part of the morning over at Arkansas Ozark Folk Center. That was this morning. Then this afternoon hit. Look at this, guys. Look what happened this afternoon. It was quiet for the first couple hours. After about 1:13 this afternoon, all we had was some small tremors. Small tremors. Then after 1:18 a.m. this afternoon, I keep talking mornings, this is the afternoon over there at Ozark Folk Center in Arkansas. You can see tremors there. Then another 5 minutes goes by, and then all heck breaks loose again. Okay? 3.2s, 3.3s. Probably a 3.4 magnitude earthquake. Okay? Within a matter of seconds of each other. Then about another 60 seconds goes by, and then all of a sudden, all heck breaks loose again. Now this appears to be 3.4 earthquakes back to back to back. Ozark Folk Center, Arkansas. And you can see what happened after that. More tremors off and on the rest of the afternoon. Ozark Folk Center, Arkansas, guys. Okay? It's not the only place. Catfish Pond, Arkansas, guys. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. The first part of the morning, all we had was microquakes and tiny tremors. 4:15 this morning, more tremors. After 4:30, more tremors. After 4:45 this morning, we have a few more tremors for the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then it calms down again until 6:15. 6:15, well, actually about 6:17 this morning, we had a 1.4, 1.5 tremor. Then it calms down until 7:40 a.m. this morning, and then we have some more tremor activity, and good sized tremors at that. 1.5, 1.7, maybe even 1.8 tremor there. Then it calms down, and all that we see at Catfish Pond, Arkansas, happened after 11:45 this morning. We had a bunch of tremors before that. Okay? 11:35, 11:38 tremors, just tiny tremors. Then I believe we may have had a 2.0 earthquake just before 11:44. So it'll be about 11:43 in some seconds. A 2.0 earthquake. It lasts just a second. Then a few more tremors, and those tremors developed into a larger earthquake. About 11:47 a.m. this morning. Okay? 3.0 earthquakes. Tremors all over. 2.0, 3.0 earthquakes. Then 4 minutes goes by. And look, we had some more earthquakes. The top and the bottom were cut off. The bottom was cut off by paper. The top was cut off by the government. This may have been as high as a 4.0 earthquake. This morning here at Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Okay? This afternoon, nothing happened at Catfish Pond. It was totally quiet. Absolutely quiet. We go over to Manila, Arkansas. Okay? Look at Manila, Arkansas. It was quiet all morning long here. Just tiny microquakes is all. Tiny microquakes. Some tremors developed just before 8 a.m. this morning. Tiny tremors, even that. Then, look what happens at 10 a.m. 10:02 a.m. We have what appears to be 3.4, 3.5 earthquakes back to back. There's at least 2 of them back to back. There may have been as many as 3 or 4 back to back. Literally within seconds of each other. Then it calmed down for a fraction of a minute. Then we had another, it appears to be a 3.0 earthquake. Then a bunch of tremors. We go about 3 minutes down the road and we have another bunch of 3.2, 3.3 earthquakes. Okay, just after 10 a.m. Then those tone down to body waves. Okay? Yes, we have a 3.0 earthquake, and then we have a secondary wave. It tones down to a body wave and dissipates. Completely dissipates. Then after 10:15, just before 10:20 this morning, we have more 3.0 earthquakes. Look at that. Folks, this is on the center of the New Madrid Fault. It's on the west side of the New Madrid Fault. Okay? And then down there at Manila South, Arkansas, nothing happened this afternoon at all. Tiny tremors at best. Let's take a look at Marktree, Arkansas here. This is always a big one here in Arkansas. Okay? This is south of Jonesboro, Arkansas. After 12:15 this morning, you can see a bunch of tremors hitting here. Look at the length of time the tremors hit. We have about 5 minutes of tremor activity. We have 2.5 or 3 minutes of good-sized tremor activity. It lasted a while, didn't it? Nobody felt this. This is just tiny tremors, small tremors. Look at the small tremors here. The length of time that they happened. Then, folks, let me enlarge this so you can see it. Folks, just after 5:39 a.m. this morning, I'm over on the far side of this blue line. That is 5:30 this morning. We go over to about 5:39 this morning, then all of a sudden we have tremors, we have 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes, minor earthquakes, and they continue for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Then these earthquakes get larger. Now we're talking about a 3.5, 3.8 earthquake. Small earthquakes here at Marktree, Arkansas. And these small earthquakes continue for nearly 2 minutes. These are felt shaking. These are felt shakers. Look at all that. Then, folks, it doesn't stop. It literally doesn't stop. Just before 7 a.m. over here on the right-hand side, on that green line, you can see minor earthquakes happening there. Okay? 5:59 a.m. this morning. Actually, I'm sorry, that's 6:59 a.m. this morning. At 7 a.m. The tremors continue on the black line, don't they? Then after 7:15, we get more good-sized earthquakes. 3.5 earthquakes. Look what happens the rest of this morning. Earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. They calm down the tremors and start all over again. Earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. They're not small minor quakes. These are 3.5, 3.7 magnitude earthquakes over and over and over again. How would you like to live in Marktree, Arkansas this morning, feeling the ground rumble like this beneath your feet, knowing that you got hit by earthquakes? No, this was not dangerous. It could have been. Somebody trying to walk may have had a real problem walking here, feeling the ground shake beneath their feet. Marktree, Arkansas this morning. How about Marktree, Arkansas this afternoon? Look at this. Look at 12 noon on the black line up here on the top. We have tremors. We have at least 2.0, 2.5 magnitude minor earthquakes. Then we go over here to the right here. About 12, I'm going to say 12:25 this afternoon. I'm sorry, not even that. Back up. This black line only goes over to 12:15 on the far right. So this is like 12:11. 3-point plus earthquakes. Small earthquakes, but felt earthquakes. And they continue all afternoon long. All day long, Marktree, Arkansas got smacked around. This is just barely over on the east side of the New Madrid Fault. The New Madrid Fault being the Mississippi River. Okay? So we can see the earthquakes hitting. A year, 2, 3 years ago, this never happened. All we would get is minor tremors, tiny tremors, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5 at the largest. 2 years ago, we get 1.7s. It was last year when all these earthquakes started hitting. Okay? West of Jonesboro is a town called Needham, Arkansas. Needham, Arkansas. Look at all the tiny tremors that hit Needham today, this morning. All these tiny tremors, these cannot be felt, guys. Not one of these tremors in Needham could be felt this morning. Not one of them. But it happened all morning long. Is this going to turn into earthquakes here at Needham? It could. It could. Look what happened in Needham, Arkansas this afternoon. Guess what? Needham also saw an earthquake. After 2:30 this afternoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2:35 this afternoon. A 3.4, 3.5 earthquake hit Needham, Arkansas. That was felt. Okay? For the most part, all the rest of these are nothing more than minor tremors here. Even Needham, Arkansas, west of Jonesboro, probably about 40 miles west of Jonesboro, got smacked around by a small quake. Okay? It's hitting all over the place. South of Marktree is a town called Truman. We talked about Truman before. All that happened this morning were tremors. Okay? These long, consistent, constant tremors. Some of them lasting 2 or 3 minutes, some of them lasting 4, 5, and 6, 7 minutes long. Tremors, guys. Now, they only had maybe 1 2.0 earthquake. That happened at about 9:20 this morning. about 9:20 this morning, and you can see it here. This was a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. A bunch of tremors before and after that, and 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes as well. Minor earthquakes after the 3. Truman, Arkansas getting hit. Let's drop down to Tyronza, Arkansas. This is Tyronza, Arkansas. Okay? They got bullied around a little bit. These are tremors. These are tremors until the late morning. Yes, we had some actually it was not even late morning. My bad there. We had some 2.0 earthquakes after 6:20 this morning. We had some more 3.0 earthquakes just about 8:20 this morning. And then another one after that, probably a 3.0. We see minor and small earthquakes here. We see tremors here. This is Tyronza, Arkansas this morning. Tyronza, Arkansas this afternoon hit as well. Look at hit here. We had some tremors. We had some 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes. Look at that. Tyronza got hit as well on the west side of the earthquake fault. Okay? Now, like I said before, what happens, folks, what happens when we have earthquakes and people feel them? What do you think happens with those earthquakes? Some can't feel them. Others, they're shaking beneath their feet. They can't walk straight because the ground is rumbling. That's what they felt like in Arkansas today. Folks, let's go over and take a look at what exactly happened over on the fault towards the center of the fault in Missouri. Okay? I think we ought to take a quick look around and see what exactly happened. Because, folks, it's continuing all up and down the entire New Madrid fault. Let's go north. I want to take a look at Indiana. This is Evansville, Indiana, at Evansville State University. All they got here was tremors. The tremors increased after 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, and they continued off and on all morning long. Evansville this morning. Okay? Evansville this afternoon. Just tremors. Nobody felt this. Everyone went about their day with no real worries there in Evansville. How about New Harmony, Indiana? Does anybody have any kind of clue what I'm about to show you in New Harmony, Indiana? It was quiet all morning long. Quiet all morning long until 12 noon. Then tremors really got going. Minor tremors that nobody felt. 1.5, 1.8 tremors. It wasn't until after 12:38 this afternoon when we had our first 3.0 earthquake. Then we had nothing but tremors after that. No small earthquakes, no minor earthquakes, but tremors. One good-sized earthquake, and the rest tremors. Indiana got smacked around, didn't they? That's what you get for living there. The north end of the New Madrid Fault. Indiana's a good place to live. Don't knock it. It is. It's a great place to live. This is Carbondale, Illinois. Look what happened here. Carbondale, Illinois this afternoon. It was quiet literally all morning long. What happened, folks, after 1:40 this morning? Excuse me, this afternoon. Okay? All of a sudden we had a 3.2 earthquake. It calmed down to a secondary quake, then to a body wave, and it immediately went back up after a minute and a half to a 3.0, 3.2 magnitude earthquake. That earthquake lasted a few seconds, went into a body wave that lasted probably close to 45 seconds and calmed down to nothing more than a body wave. From an earthquake to a secondary wave to a body wave. Then, within 30 seconds after that, once it reached the body wave, then it turned into a full-blown earthquake again. This time, this earthquake shook for quite some time. About 30 seconds worth of shaking. Some of that shaking stopped after a few seconds and hit again for quite some time. Stopped for a second or two and hit again. You see 3 areas here where the earthquakes happened. That's an awful lot of shaking. Then that immediately dies down to a body wave and then kicks back into gear for a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake. Small earthquakes here. Small earthquakes in Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois. Carbondale's been quiet for a very long time. They mostly had tremors, and that's it. Now we see Carbondale, Illinois having full-blown earthquakes, felt earthquakes. Okay, 3.2 to 3.9, well actually 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. Small earthquakes can start to be felt about 3.2, 3.3. And then it rattles your nerves. Okay? What started all this? Can anybody remember what I've said about earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault? Can anybody remember what I have said about earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault? We have seismic energy from the East Coast. Seismic energy from the East Coast. That is happening because there's a craton out there. The U.S. craton, the North American plate. The North American plate, guys, right here. This brown area here is the North American plate. Okay? Out to the east, we have the Atlantic Fault Zone, the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Plate, folks, the Atlantic Plate, where the ocean is expanding. Expanding out from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's pushing on the North American Plate. The United States and Canada is being moved by the North American Plate in a south-southwesterly direction. That's what's going on with the North American Plate. The Atlantic Plate is pushing the North American Plate in the south-southwesterly direction. So we are getting earthquakes over on the East Coast. All up and down the East Coast of the United States. We're seeing these tremors and earthquakes, guys. We're seeing it. We're seeing it. Nobody had ever thought before that this would happen. Nobody had even considered what has been going on with the Atlantic Plate. We had seen tiny tremors happening on the East Coast. Tiny tremors on the East Coast. Now, what we've been finding on the East Coast is not just tremors, but full-blown earthquakes. Full-blown earthquakes. From Canada south, we've shown you tremors and small quakes, minor quakes, not small, but minor quakes up in northeastern Canada. Quebec, all over the place. Nova Scotia, all over the place. Okay? Literally. I'm not kidding you. All over. Folks, it's been going on for some time. Let's go over to West Virginia. Martinsburg, West Virginia. Martinsburg, West Virginia today, this morning. This morning, all we had was some microquake activity for about an hour. Then, at 1 a.m., that microquake activity stopped and we started getting minor tremors. 1.0 tremors, nothing more. Then, at 1:15, the tremors increased into 1.4, 1.5 tremors. Then, folks, after 2:02 this morning, we had some tremors. Then we had our first 2.0 earthquake here. You can see it. A 2.0 earthquake here in Martinsburg, West Virginia. That's west of Virginia, West Virginia. Yes, it happened. Then we had something else happen this afternoon. Martinsburg, West Virginia. We had some very light 1.0 tremors happening until 2:30 this afternoon. Then some 1.2, 1.3 earthquake or tremors started happening. The tremors increased. Then they backed off a bit. Then we had a 2.5 earthquake this afternoon. Martinsburg, West Virginia. Then it backs off. to nothing more than light tremor activity again, a body wave. Then we get hit with a 3.3 magnitude earthquake, a felt earthquake. West Virginia, guys. Just before, literally just before 2:30 this afternoon. 2:29 this afternoon. A 3.3, maybe a 3.4 earthquake hit. You can see it here. And after that, it backed down to nothing but more than tremors, except this long duration tremor here. Okay? After I want to say 1:29 this morning, actually 1:28. Okay? Or 4:28, I'm sorry, 4:28 this afternoon. And it continued after 4:30. Just very light tremors. That was in Virginia. I'm sorry, West Virginia. Let's take a look at Accomack, Virginia. Okay? I'm going to show you Accomack, Virginia this morning. We've seen minor earthquakes here in Accomack before. All we see here all morning long is nothing more than tremors. That's all. Nothing more than tremors, period. Okay? That's it. This afternoon is something else entirely. Okay? Look what happens this afternoon in Accomack, Virginia. Tremors until 2:10 this afternoon. All of a sudden we have a 2.5, 2.8 magnitude earthquake. Not a 3.0, but a 2.5, 2.8 magnitude earthquake. Possibly not felt. Possibly not felt. And then nothing more than tremors after that. Isn't that interesting how we can go from tremors over in West Virginia to earthquakes over in Virginia to the east? I wonder why. Let's go over and look at Corbin, Virginia this morning. Corbin, Virginia this morning, almost nothing the first part of the morning. Just some very light hits of tremors. That's all. And basically that was all that happened all morning long after 8 a.m. this morning. The tremors got light, and that's all where they stayed. 1.2, 1.3 tremors all morning long. Nobody felt those. No one felt those. What happened this afternoon in Accomack, Virginia? The tremors increased, didn't they? Nobody felt these, but you see an increase just after 12 noon. Things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? That's Virginia. I'm going to keep this up for just a minute because Carolyn Martin, my friend from Denver, just posted something that you all need to know about. The National Weather Service has confirmed multiple tornado touchdowns in the Chicago area this evening, including one at O'Hare Airport. Now, I probably should have talked about this earlier. The Midwest is getting nailed. Yes, Carolyn Martin, Rob just asked Carolyn if it happened this afternoon. Yes, it did. The Midwest is getting smacked around by weather today. You all need to know about it. There's a lot of weather coming into the Midwest tonight. Now, in fact, I'm going to stop talking about these earthquakes for a minute. Let me shut these earthquakes down. I have something else to talk about here. Okay, this is the College of Dupage webpage. This is the satellite view of weather down here in the central United States. Okay? This is much more than just interesting. Look what happens as we go throughout the day. Very little happens over in the western part of the U.S. Look what happens this morning over in the Midwest. We're talking about Illinois, we're talking about Indiana, and we're talking about western Texas. Let's move this further. Okay? I want you to see this. Let me put it into motion here. Look at the clouds go through. That blue haze, guys, is smoke out of Canada. But you can see the clouds moving. And what's happening over in western Texas going over into Arkansas. Again, the blue is smoke from Canada. You see what I'm talking about, guys? The Midwest is going to get hammered tonight. I'm sorry to hear that Chicago had 2 tornadoes touch down, one of them at the airport. Rob is saying that Las Vegas is having the hottest day in history. 77 people died in Las Vegas. Probably older people and young people. Reverend Lisa Maria Murray is here in the chat. Reverend, thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here. Reverend Lisa Maria is saying, I'm tired of all the rain and storms. A lot of people are. And you have a right to be tired of it. Let's move east. I want you to see this move east. Look at that. Look at that storm system move out over the Great Lakes. Look down here in the south. That storm system is leaving western Texas, going over into Arkansas. Arkansas and Mississippi will probably see tornadic weather this afternoon and this evening. Actually, it's already this afternoon. It's past that. It's this evening. Arkansas and Mississippi, going all the way over into Alabama late tonight, is going to see tornadic activity as well. That's pretty bad. Look at that system going through the Midwest, guys. That is a heavy low pressure system moving through the Midwest, going into the Great Lakes and going back up into the North Coast of the east coast of the United States and into Canada. Okay? Canada's going to get nailed as well. Look how that storm system is moving. That storm system is going to be moving for the next several days, going over the Great Lakes into Washington, New York area, going upwards of New Jersey, all the way up into Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Delaware, Maine, up into Canada as well. Isn't that quite a storm system, guys? I wanted you to see that too, and I should have showed you that early on. But that's what happened over in Chicago tonight, and it's going to continue. I'm sorry for those people in Chicago, guys, and in the Midwest. They're going to get nailed, unfortunately. They're really going to get nailed. Continuing on our talk about earthquakes. Okay? What happened in Virginia is also occurring over here in my neck of the woods as well. I want you to see what happened today here in North Carolina. This is quite a deal, guys. This is King, North Carolina. Nothing more than tremors at all. That's it. King, North Carolina just had tremors. Then, folks, it continued. King, Carolina this afternoon, more tremors. No earthquakes, but tremors. But then it continues. Pittsboro, North Carolina. Okay? Pittsboro, 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 North Carolina, more tremors this morning. Where are these tremors coming from? The Atlantic plate, guys. The Atlantic plate is pushing pressure, or putting pressure on the East Coast. Now, what I'm going to show you next may startle a lot of you. This happened here in Bolivia, North Carolina, central North Carolina, along the coast. Look here, guys. We had 3.5, 3.8 earthquakes this morning. We had tremors where I live. I saw it in the toilet. Yes, in the toilet bowl, guys. I also saw water jiggling in my water bottle, on my nightstand early this morning, on the dining room table this afternoon, and on my desk tonight. These are 3.5, 3.8 earthquakes, going down to 2.0s after those threes hit. Going down to tremors after the twos. Bolivia, North Carolina, guys. This is what happened this morning. This is this afternoon. Nothing but tremors this afternoon. All that strong earthquake activity and nothing this afternoon but tremors. The east part of the plate is getting pushed by the Atlantic plate. I'm not kidding, guys. We are being pushed. And it's not just here in North Carolina. Let's go down into Sumter, South Carolina. You remember hearing reports earlier this year about Lugoff. South Carolina. No doubt you heard that tremors and minor earthquakes were happening down there near Elgin, E-L-G-I-N, South Carolina, and Logoff, L-O-G-O-F-F, South Carolina. This is Sumter, South Carolina, just east of that. Look what we're showing you here. It's gotten more than just tremors, guys. It's got to be more than just tremors. Let me show you what happened this morning. Absolutely nothing until after 7 a.m. this morning. Till after 7 a.m. this morning. Let me move this further up and show you what happened this morning here near Sumter, South Carolina. Look at the green line here at 6:45 a.m. this morning. Look at this blue line on the right-hand side. Okay, this blue line on the left is 6:30 this morning. Here, we're seeing 6:43 this morning. We're having tremors, aren't we? Just before 6:45, all heck broke loose. We're talking about a 3.5 earthquake that let loose on South Carolina this morning, just before 6:45. 6:44 a.m. this morning. Okay? This was at least a 3.5, and I'm going to even stretch out and say it was a 3.7 earthquake. Then again, look what happens after 7:15 this morning. Let's go back here on this black line and see it before it happens. All we had is tremors, didn't we? We had a lot of tremors after 7 a.m. and it continually crossed this entire horizontal line for 15 minutes. Right before 7:30 this morning, we had a 2.0 earthquake. Okay? 7:29 a.m. this morning is a 2.0 minor earthquake. Then over here, that 2.0 continued for about 20 seconds. Then the pressure built up. Now we have a 3.5 earthquake that lasted about 30 seconds. How would you like to wake up to this at 7:15 in the morning? Shaking. You see things on your nightstand shake. Your lamp, maybe your keys, or some other devices on your nightstand, or an alarm, for example, or radio, shaking, bounce up and down like this. You're hearing thumping going on. You're feeling something with your bed moving, or maybe you're up getting ready for the morning, and you feel the ground shaking beneath your feet. Okay? Then it calms down some until we get over here at 7:27 a.m. this morning. It starts again. 3.5 magnitude earthquake. This earthquake lasts about 10 seconds. And then it's off again, on again, shaking. Upwards of 3.3, 3.4. Then it calms down to tremors again. The tremors continue down here till after 7:30 a.m. Then we go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 7:35 and some seconds, we had another 3.5 for 3.7 earthquake. 3.5 to 3.7 earthquake hit again. This time you're sitting at your breakfast table, or maybe you're driving to work in South Carolina. Then after 20 seconds of shaking, it turns down to nothing more than tremors again, and then 4 minutes later it happens again. 3.5, 3.7 shaking. Then it turns down to tremors again. Then we don't have anything more until after 8:30 this morning. You're at your office or you're at your home. Some mothers or housewives trying to clean their house early in the morning, getting breakfast on for your children before they go off to school. Then we have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Minor earthquake, but still. 2 minutes later, we have another 3.8 earthquake. Again. This time, we may be approaching a 4.0 moderate earthquake. Where things are falling off the walls. Look at the earthquakes here all morning long here. Sumter, South Carolina. Look at this earthquake after 10:46 this morning. Again, we're having another 3.5, 3.7 earthquake, lasting another 20 seconds. And aftershocks, secondary quakes lasting another minute and a half to 2 minutes after that. Then it calms down for a little while. We don't see any big shaking until 11:44 this morning. 11:44 this morning, it happens again. Again, a 3.7, 3.8 earthquake. A lot of shaking. Sumter, South Carolina, guys. What do you think about that? How'd you like to wake up in the morning to that? South Carolina, guys. That happened this morning. Then this afternoon. Okay? This afternoon, they probably had a 3.5 earthquake at 1:01 this afternoon, or just barely before that. That earthquake again lasts about 20 seconds. Then a 2.0, 2.2, then it breaks down to tremors again. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, it starts all over again. Okay? 20 seconds more shaking for a 3.0 earthquake. Then it goes over to 2:14 this afternoon, and again we have a 2.3, 2.4 earthquake. This time minor earthquake. They may not have even felt this. Then after 2:46, no, not 2:46, 2:36. Is that right? No, 2:41 this afternoon. Another 3.6, 3.8 earthquake hits again. And prior to that, at 2:28 p.m. this afternoon. It happened at 2:28, and then again at 3:43 this afternoon. This time a 3.8. Then again here at 3 just before 3:03 this afternoon. This one was a 2.5, 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. At 3:02 this afternoon. Going right up until 3:03 this afternoon. That's a lot of seismic energy, guys. The Atlantic plate is pushing the North American plate in a south-southwesterly direction. We showed you seismic energy in West Virginia, North and South Carolina. Okay? Would you like to see Georgia? Savannah, Georgia? Right here. This is nothing more than tremors here in Savannah, Georgia this morning. Now, yes, this is south of South Carolina. This is Georgia. This is Savannah, Georgia this afternoon. Yes, Savannah had tremors most of the day. Over here, just after 12:33 this afternoon, they had at least a 2.3, 2.4 minor earthquake. It might have been as much as a 2.8 minor earthquake. Then we jump down to after 3 o'clock again. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just before 3:05 this afternoon, we had another good-sized 3.3, 3.4 earthquake this afternoon. Then just after 5 p.m., 5:02 p.m. this afternoon, we have another 2.8, 3.0 earthquake happen again this afternoon in Georgia. That's what's going on, guys. That is why the New Madrid plate, actually not the plate, it's not the New Madrid plate, it's the New Madrid seismic zone, the New Madrid fault. It's getting pressure, guys. It's getting pressure from the East Coast. The East Coast is pushing on the New Madrid fault. All that land between the Atlantic Ocean and Mississippi, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, all up and down the fault is getting pushed by the Atlantic plate. Pressure coming from the east, and also pressure coming from the west part of the United States, from the west coast pushing east. Okay? We've shown it to you. Every day without fail, we show you what is going on. It's not stopping, guys. It's not stopping. The seismic energy is building. The New Madrid fault's going to go, guys. I just showed you 3.5, 3.8 earthquakes on the New Madrid. I showed you those same size earthquakes on the East Coast. We showed you 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes over in Southern California last night. It's moving. It's moving. We've shown you earthquakes up in the Pacific Northwest at the volcanoes. At the volcanoes. Maybe I ought to break it down even further and show you what's going on at other places than the volcanoes, because there's still minor earthquakes and small earthquakes happening up in northwestern Washington, down into Oregon, and down into California. It's happening. Folks, you need to be ready. The Midwest, folks, your guys are going to get hit tonight with tornadoes and thunderstorms. Sometime after midnight, things will start to calm down a little bit, but they will pick back up in terms of storms as the earth starts heating up again in the morning. Probably sometime around noon, the thunderstorms will start up, and they will increase the threat of tornadoes and thunderstorms going through the rest of tomorrow as well, and into Friday and Saturday, up in the northeast part of the country and into Canada. Folks, I'm sorry so many people died from heat down in Las Vegas. That is a recurring problem every year. Mostly elderly and small minor children are overcome by heat prostration, and they die if they don't get immediate medical attention. This is ongoing, and I'm so sorry to even have to report it. Rob, thank you for the heads up about Vegas. It's all over California too. The heat is increasing. New Mexico is getting hit. Texas is getting hit. I used to live in Fargo, North Dakota. We had 88-degree temperatures in the middle of the summer, even 90-degree temperatures by August, and then the temperature would drop off like a rock. And the first part of September, it got into the 40s. By the end of September, we've had snow in North Carolina or North Dakota before. I remember those days. Folks, the world is changing as we speak. Okay? It's changing. I know for a fact what's happening in England. They're experiencing heat waves and they're experiencing rain. That's what they have to put up with. And Europe as well. Europe is getting hit with earthquakes. They're getting hit with pestilence. Africa as well. South America as well. Indonesia as well. Earthquakes and rain, it's bad. Flooding. China, India getting hit with rain, storms, and flooding. Please, folks, if you experience any kind of flooding and the water starts crossing roadways, please do not go into the water. Stop and turn around. Do not drown. Stop and turn around. Do not drown. Demon Cat is saying that Rob says Phoenix got hit hard with heat and deaths as well. It doesn't, he says Vegas was a mistake. I think the people in Vegas got hit too. But Phoenix and Tucson area have been hit with heavy duty heat. Guys, be safe. Do what you have to do to stay cool. Do what you have to do to stay cool. Denver's gotten hit with heavy duty heat before. I used to live there, I know. Preposterous heat. Wearing the bulletproof vest was horrible. It was punishment. It was punishment. But we had to do that. Folks, I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. Please, folks, keep our dear friend. I still can't believe Larry's gone. Please keep his family and all of his friends in your prayers. They need it too. They need it too. Now, folks, I have some things that I want to share with you tonight. And I hope you take them in the spirit in which I share with you. I'm going to go over here. I just saw this yesterday. Okay. I'm going to give you some counseling. Some people don't deserve it. Some people need it. Some people need the reminder. This counseling comes from the Apostle Paul. This comes in Colossians chapter 3, starting with verse 17. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. Whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. You can hurt a child tremendously and hurt them throughout their life by discouraging their childhood. They will live with that the rest of their lives. Servants. None of us usually have servants, but we also have people that do work for us. Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. That can be us working for our employers. Serve them with singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord. Ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. I know there are some people that don't need the counsel, for they are already doing that. But I saw that earlier this morning, and I wanted to share that with you. It's wise counsel to each and every one of us. May God be with us this day. Don't ever forget your friends, your neighbors, and your loved ones. Don't ever forget your family, because today could be the last day that you might see them. We have all learned the sad lesson here this week. May God be with you this day and always. May God bless you with things that you stand in need of. May God be with you tonight and always. God be with you until we meet again. I love you all. God bless you. God stand with you. Take care, everybody. Please share this program with everybody you see, everybody you meet, and everybody you do business with. Your neighbors, your friends, your social media contacts, and the people you work with. Your family and extended family. Share it well and share it wise. Everybody needs a part of what we said tonight. Carolyn, Rob, Diane, Demon Catman, and all of you, thank you for being here. We appreciate and love our mods so very much. They're the ones that keep this program on the air. I love you guys. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you around the corner. Also, don't forget your pets. Keep your pets inside during this heat. You don't want to lose them either. God be with you till we meet again. We'll see you on the other side.